Listen to your heart, tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart, tell me that you understand. Cause you are the one for me. If you just believe, if you just believe, if you just believe, if you just believe, if you just believe.
Welcome back to another stream, people. It's been about a week since we last streamed. I've missed you all. Joe's missed you all. We've got plenty to talk about. As you see in the title, Arsenal, welcome back to the Champions League, Gooners. You've been missed, quite clearly. And then we're going to talk a bit about City over the weekend with Chelsea and Brentford and how we're playing and how we're shaping up. But let's start with the news of the night, which of course is Arsenal. Before we get into it, there's 15 of you in the building. Smash a like on this stream. It massively helps. And we're 9 subscribers of 7k. So if you hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already, help us get to 7,000 people in the community. We'll be absolutely rocking. But like I say, Arsenal, welcome back. Welcome back to the Champions League. Arsenal, the pride of North London, the pride of London with no Champions League. Let me run through the list of clubs in England with Champions League. So you've got City, most recently. You have United with 3. You have Chelsea with 2. You have Liverpool with 6. You've got Forest with 2. You've got Villa with 1. But I don't see one beside Arsenal's name. I don't see any Champions Leagues beside Arsenal's name. And Arsenal claim to be a big European heritage club. Where are you getting these names from? Where are you calling yourself European heritage and a big heritage club from when you don't have one beside your name? 0 shots on target. Now, listen, Real Madrid's always a tough team to... Oh, wait, you weren't playing Real Madrid. No. You weren't playing Real Madrid. You were playing Porto. Yes, because Porto are obviously one of the favourites to win the competition this year. So to go there and not win is very respectable. I saw loads of people over the last few weeks, or since the draw was made, saying Arsenal are actually one of the favourites to win the competition. You got City, you got Real Madrid, and then why not Arsenal? I hate UEFA. You lot know I hate UEFA. But put some respect on the competition. It ain't easy. It ain't as easy as it looks, this Champions League business. Don't care who you're playing, it ain't as easy as it looks. Saka and Martinelli going to announce them. Lost the password to the account because I'm still waiting on the announcement. Welcome to Europe. You better win. You better knock Porto out. Or it's serious laughing times. What a joke, man. What a joke. Arsenal, man. Joe, tell me about Arsenal.
You know what? I've been looking forward to this. I mean, as soon as the final whistle went, I've been looking forward to this because I just pictured some of the things we're going to say in my head. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. It's not easy. I've seen so many Arsenal fans putting themselves forward to win the competition on their return. And that they have a good draw and, they're going to smash Porto. Listen, we tried to tell them. Don't say we didn't try to warn you. We tried to warn them about Gabriel Jesus. We tried to warn them about Zinchenko and all of these players that signed off us. We tried to warn them, listen, write anyone off in the Champions League at your peril. We've done that and we've been embarrassed. We've been there and done that, bought a t-shirt. Arsenal, they're falling into the trap. They've gone, oh, it's Porto. No bother. That's who we got next round. That's kind of what they're thinking. And it's bitten them in the ass. It's bitten them in the ass. They've lost 1-0. They did nothing. I watched that game. They did nothing. Arsenal did absolutely nothing in that game. They didn't deserve anything. I think they would have taken a 0-0 because a draw away from home in the Champions League is still a good result in a knockout tie. But they didn't get that. They got punished. And it was deservedly slow. I thought Porto deserved to win that game. And now the pressure's on. The pressure is on. They have to win. They have to win by 2 goals.
It could, guys, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the like button. Let's try to get up to 20 likes as soon as possible. It couldn't happen to a nicer bunch. It couldn't happen to a more arrogant bunch. For a team that has won, and a club and a fan base that has won sweet fuck all. Here's a stat for you. They haven't been past the last 16 of the Champions League in 14 years. 14 years. And this fan base carry on like they're going to come in here, stomp their way back in after 7-8 years absence, whatever it was, and win the goddamn thing. Boy, you're talking to the fans here who know about Champions Leagues of Humbla. How many ties have we had in the Champions League where we said on paper we're going to blow this lot? We're going to absolutely blow them out of the water. And we get humbled very quickly. You learn very quickly in the Champions League that you're not what you quite think you are. You may think domestically you're this, you're that. You beat West Ham 6-0, well done. You beat Burnley 5-0, well done. You might think you're big dogs. Hop on a plane to Europe and do it over there. It's a different kettle of fish, lads. It's a different kettle of fish. This Champions League stuff, man, I'm telling you, it will humble you so quickly and it'll make you show respect so quickly. They got taught a lesson tonight, Arsenal. They got taught a lesson. 11 goals in 5 games, 11 goals in 2 games, 21 goals in 5 games domestically. We're going to go over to Portugal and you know, that Porto team, they're not that great. Pepe's 41 next week. We should, you know, Saka and Martinelli should absolutely rip him. No. Your star boy didn't turn up. Our star boy is the youngest player to hit 50 Champions League appearances. And he's got one of the medals to show it. He's played in 2 finals and he's got a medal to show it. Learn quickly. Learn quickly to not speak so soon. Big up Piplup, man. Big up my guy Piplup. Learn quickly to shut your mouth. To shut your mouth. Until you lift big ears above your head. Don't talk. We learnt that. Don't talk. Don't jinx. Don't big yourself up too much. Don't show respect. Doesn't matter who you're playing. Porto, Sporting Lisbon, Benfica, anybody from Portugal, anybody from anywhere. Don't talk till you've lifted the trophy. You've not earned the right to laugh at the teams you're playing against. Dead game. Dead game. Dead European performance from Arsenal. 0 shots. 0 shots on target. What? And I've heard comparisons to MSN about this Arsenal front 3. Mate.
It's bad. It's like it's very much a humbler. And again, we know this from just years of experience at this point, that it will set you down a level. It will humble you. It will get to you. Do we need to go over the teams? Tottenham, Lyon. Do we need to go for Monaco? Like, do we need to really go over how much knowledge we have of not getting through ties that realistically we probably should have done on paper? It's the Champions League for a reason. Like, you don't just get a bye because it's Porto. Like, we figured out the formula last year and we went on and won it because we figured out over years of being upset and, you know, battered in certain places. We learnt the formula. Remember last season, we keep it tight away. We take it to home, do the business. And we learned that that's the way to go forward. Arsenal, they went, this is ours. This is ours for the taking. We scored so many goals. We're going to batter these. And look where it's got them. Look where it's got them. You got egg on the face. They're 1-0 down. The pressure's on. I don't know what games they have around. I think someone in the chat before said they have Chelsea around the time of the second leg. Like, it's tough. It's tough. This is the part of the season that's tough.
Normally, I wouldn't particularly care, you know, if someone loses 1-0. It's the first leg. You can flip it on its head. It's the first leg. You'd expect them to win at the Emirates. They must win at the Emirates. But all I remember from all our years of not winning the Champions League when people thought we should have or we would have, there were loud Arsenal fans. There were Arsenal fans actually laughing at us at the time for losing in quarterfinals and semi-finals. And remember, we lost to Tottenham and there was Arsenal fans getting loud about that, laughing at us. You lost to Tottenham, blah, 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 blah. Look at you now. Look at you now. You must. The pressure is on Arsenal in the Emirates that night, in 2-3 weeks' time, whenever it is. The pressure building up to that, because it'll be such a letdown after all the hype gone into Arsenal and Champions League. Could they do a double? Fuck off. We've made these things look easy. We've made doubles look easy. We've made consistently winning trophies look easy. I'll tell you for a fact, it ain't easy. This shit's not easy. Come for the king, you best not miss. We are him as far as this goes right now. And we're trying to teach you. I'm trying to educate you. Mr. Murray, Professor Murray, I know how these things go, Champions League. They ain't gonna win it. You can't waltz into the Champions League having been out for however many years it was and win it. It ain't happening. This competition will not allow that. You'll get sucked up, you'll get chewed up, and you'll get spat back out with your tails between your legs going, where did it all go wrong? Fucking Gary Lineker said we're class and match of the day. Fucking so-and-so said we're going to win it and we're third favourites. They're starting to believe in their own hype, man. Don't care how many goals you put past West Ham. Don't care how many goals you put past Burnley, where you are in the league. Hop on a Ryanair plane to Europe, and it's a very different story, people. It's a very different story. You know what I mean? We did our job. Went to Copenhagen, won 3-1. Copenhagen, a team that came through a group with Galatasaray, Bayern Munich, and Man United. We beat them 3-1 out in Denmark. Hopefully, job done. You're in great form. You go to Portugal. Playing against Porto. 41-year-old Pepe, shout out him. They should do their job, shouldn't they? No. Couldn't get a shot on target, mate. Joke. Let's park them. But we will revisit. We will come back to this conversation when the timing is right. You best believe we will be there. Guys, make sure you've hit the like button on the stream. There's over 30 of you in the building. Let's try and get up to 30 likes. How about that? 30 likes. Smash the like button. Massively helps myself and Joe. And subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. Let's move on to our own club. I just wanted to have a quick 10-15 minutes laughing at Arsenal and trying to pass over some education, lay down some knowledge, try help them out, constructively help them out. Manchester City, we're all Man City fans, I believe, in the chat. If you're a Man City fan, hit the like button. Obviously beat Brentford 1-0 last night. Did the job. It wasn't pretty, man. It wasn't pretty on the eyes. Myself and Joe did a bit of a review on City Extra. It was kind of a quick condensed one, but we're going to do more of a podcast style version here. So obviously we collect 4 points between Chelsea and Brentford, but look, if you want the short and sweet, which a lot of people want to hear, it's, well, we won and we got the job done. We took our 3 points, that's fine. But if you want to have conversations and share opinions, that's just what we're going to do. And if you don't like them, that's fair enough. Chat back, tell us your opinions back. But the title says unconvincing from City. It was unconvincing. It was a tough watch. City made that difficult for ourselves. We made that more difficult than we needed to make it, if you ask me. We're going to get into it all though, but I suppose let's start, Joe. Brentford 1-0 at home. Considering we beat them 3-1 away a few weeks ago, I would have thought we'd have a bit more than a 1-0 for them last night.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I was at. I was hoping for the clean sheet, which we got, which is a positive because we haven't kept many. But in terms of positives, like outright positives, we won. We kept a clean sheet. Haaland scored. We managed to get De Bruyne through 90 minutes without having to play. He was rested. He's fine. Any other positives that I'm missing? Not really, am I? Like, Rodri played well again. But like that's it. Like, it's so unconvincing at the moment. I mean, look at our last 3 Premier League games. Everton at home, Chelsea at home, Brentford at home. You have to win your home games if you want to win the league for one. That's what I believe. And we've picked up 7 points, which on paper, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's not the end of the world. We're only a point off top. But if you analyse the 3 games, the 3 performances, Everton, Chelsea and Brentford, those are 3 uninspiring performances in a row. All 3 of them. They were, I don't know whether I want to say terrible, because in the second half against Chelsea, there was an improvement. In the second half against Everton, there was an improvement. I don't think there was a second half improvement against Brentford, but we got the job done. But you know what I mean? Like, they're 3 poor Premier League games in a row. 3 games where we scraped past Everton. 2 goals from Haaland, moments of brilliance. We didn't really look like doing much else. You know, we had 3 shots on target that game. That wasn't very good. Same thing with Chelsea. We had so many shots. We had 32 shots. We scored 1 goal. That was poor. Brentford as well. It was just uninspiring. That's the main word. It's, yes, we've won. Yes, we've got points. But it's not in a good way. Like, the significance in drop-off from last season, it's staggering. It really is staggering how 1 year can make such a difference, because this team is nowhere near the level of last year, and I truly believe that.
I'm just flying through the stats from last night's game, and I suppose on the grand scheme of things, most of them look relatively normal. But as I always say, you watch football with your eyes, you don't watch football with the numbers you get in your phone. The one that stands out the most to me, that kind of, highlights the unconvincing performance point, is the crosses stat. So Brentford had 12, okay? We had 33. We had 33 crosses in that game. Was anything inspiring from any of those crosses? Or, I don't know, you in the chat tell me, did it just feel like we were aimlessly crossing? Are we allowed to talk about where the problem is? Or are we going to sit here and say, well, we won? That's where we need to decide where we're at. I'm happy to say, well, we won, this job done, we move on. But if you want to have a podcast, you got to be able to talk about things, share opinions. Now, the big thing with the crossing for me is it's Kyle Walker. It's Kyle Walker playing essentially as a right winger. Foden lines up as the right winger on the pitch, doesn't he? And then he kind of moves. Yeah, people, we don't have an actual right winger. That's the main issue. He kind of moves into the centre, and then you get Kyle Walker coming out and onto the wing and acting as the winger. It doesn't look great. It really doesn't look great. It's a difficult watch because he can't cross the ball. He can't cross the ball. Like in previous years on the right wing, you'd have Bernardo, who Bernardo wasn't really he's not really much of a crosser. He's much more of an actual creator out there, in the sense that he'll dribble, he'll cut in, he'll go on the outside, and he'll force his way into the box. Mahrez, you knew what Mahrez was going to do, but it was very effective more often than not. He'd run with the ball, he'd cut back on his left, he'd get away a shot, or he'd pass it, or he'd cross it. And because he was such a technically gifted player, his crosses were always very effective. It's a massive downgrade when your right-hand side of the pitch's attacking outlet goes from Bernardo Mahrez to extremely gifted and attacking-minded players to Kyle Walker. And I suppose this isn't a dig at Kyle Walker because he's being told to do this, when it's not. In my opinion, he shouldn't be told to do this, because attacking was never Kyle Walker's thing. Kyle Walker should be right of a back three or just staying home altogether in terms of defence. He's now going up the pitch, and he is our right-sided wide player. It doesn't function very well. It nullifies our right-hand side. It lowers our level of output and threat on that side of the pitch, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, I believe Kyle Walker was 1 for 8 with his crossing yesterday. 1 for 8. He couldn't beat the first man. He tried his signature cross is low driven across the 6-yard box, because he just doesn't have, the whip. He doesn't have the technique to be able to cross a ball. So he just fires it into a danger area, which can be effective. But yesterday, Brentford packed 10 men in the box, and every single time he tried a cross, it didn't beat the first man. Like, that's where we were at, and that is one part of the problem, is this position. And it makes Kyle Walker look bad. A lot of people are calling for him to be dropped, myself included. I've done it as well. But I don't think it helps the position that he's playing in. He's being asked to do something that he's clearly not very good at. And we all agree he's not very good at. And
He's a victim of the system. He's a victim of this current system, Joe, because, look, we all know in our heart of hearts, Kyle Walker on form, playing where he should be, is in my opinion, still the best in the business. My point doesn't change that I made a few months ago regarding Walker, whereby if you're playing Vinicius or you're playing against Mbappe, you want Kyle Walker for that task. But that's what he's good at. So leave him do that. Leave him, like, if you look at the goal we conceded against Chelsea, yeah, Sterling's goal. He was totally out of position, Kyle Walker. He's totally out of position. The system we're playing right now means we essentially have two at home. We have two defenders. It could be anybody. Diaz could be up in the box, and you could see Akanji and Walker as the back two. The back two sort of thing doesn't work. It doesn't run because we're being caught out of position. That's why Sterling scored, because Walker had to come across so far. He got sent to the shops, and Sterling tucked it away. It's the shape that I think Kyle Walker is suffering from, And if it's going to be the way it is, if Pep wants to continue with this, I'd much rather someone like Akanji play right back, because at least Akanji is actually technically quite a good player.
Or Rico Lewis. I raise you with Rico Lewis. Like, we don't have an attacking fullback. Closest thing we have is Sergio Gomez, but he can't defend to save his life. So that option is kind of off the cards. If you want to play with high fullbacks like wingbacks, we can't do that with the players that we have. We do not have the personnel to play that system. We don't have it. We don't have naturally attacking fullbacks who can cross the ball, who can create from wide areas. We don't have it. That's just not something that... We haven't had that for years. Like, that's been the case. We've not had that. So trying this thing of having high and wide fullbacks and leaving two at home, not only does it hurt us going forwards, because, you know, teams now, what they're trying to do, you saw it with Chelsea, is they're forcing us wide and daring us to cross the ball. That's the game plan. They're forcing us wide and going, go on, you cross. Put a cross in the box. So it's hurting us offensively, and then defensively as well, because we've only got two at home. We're conceding a load more goals. So it's hurting us on both sides of the pitch.
I agree. I agree. I think it's just the shape, and we've kind of come accustomed to Pep Guardiola and making new shapes and new tactics and new approaches over the years. Because look, it's his greatest attribute. Pep Guardiola is knowing how to not go stale, knowing how to not, be found out, and a blueprint becomes available as to how to stop Manchester City. He's always trying to evolve and grow it. I'm not saying this current system is wrong. Pep Guardiola has it wrong, but I'd like to see some personnel change. I'd like to see it switched up a bit in terms of players trying the different roles. I have no issue with the system, because I believe anything Pep Guardiola does will work eventually. But I would, at this point of the season, like to see someone else try doing what is being asked of him. Vardiol, when he's playing at left back, he's told to bomb up the pitch and go really high up. And sometimes that makes him look bad, because Vardiol is similar to Walker in the sense that his bread and butter is, whilst he's technically good, his bread and butter is still very much the art of defending. He's a defender. He likes to square up to attackers. He likes to get involved in the nitty gritty and break down attacks. So I'd like to see something different. I'm not sitting here saying we have it all wrong. It's all going tits up and it's panic stations. I'd just like to see it evolve a bit, change it up, take Kyle Walker out or put him right of a back three, and so on and so forth. I would also like to see the big one, and some of you may not like this because I know some of you are very protective over him, but Alvarez. I feel for the guy. I really, really feel for Julian Alvarez. He's getting a lot of flack. And on a footballing standpoint, it's justified because he's underperforming. But when you bring the wider context into the conversation with Alvarez, it's difficult for the guy. It's difficult for him. He's not a midfielder. He doesn't want to be. He's not comfortable playing in the role he's in. I've said it to you guys so many times. He wants to be doing what Erling Haaland's doing. Now, look, if you just swapped it man for man, you took Haaland out, put someone else in, move Alvarez up front, nothing changes, because we're still a very crossing heavy team right now. Is Alvarez going to get his head on any of these crosses? Less likely. So you have to persist with Haaland up top. There's no room for Alvarez. Do you force him into the midfield like Pep has done? No. For me, no. It doesn't. It's so hard to put into words. It's something you just have to watch. And I know all of you in the chat, you watch all the games. It doesn't look fluid. It doesn't look comfortable. It doesn't look natural, and it doesn't look normal. Our whole game is based off intensity and speed of play and understanding what the next pass is, being one step ahead. Alvarez isn't for that. That's not what he's built for. He's built to be on the end of the last pass. So when a Bernardo or a Foden or a De Bruyne or previously Gundogan and Mars have done all their passing and all the midfield work, he's on the end of it. Not in the middle of it. But unfortunately, Pep is persisting with this, Joe.
And I wish he wouldn't, because it's Jade. Sometimes it's giving me a headache. Like, Jesus Christ, it's just insanity. Insanity. He's not playing well. Like, his form has dipped significantly. He deputised really well. If you remember the early months of the season, when we had no De Bruyne, when we had no Haaland. Yeah, there's a caveat, because he was playing up front.
Yeah, but the caveat as well to it is when people say to me, oh, but look when he was playing midfield against Newcastle or Fulham, whoever, and he was getting goals and assists, they paper over the cracks in terms of his actual performance. The goals and assists, totally appreciated, totally, if it gets to the end of the season and we win the league, of course, they were massive. But if you actually watch his performances, if he didn't get those goals or assists, would you say Alvarez had a good game? Probably not, because he's not a midfielder. He's not a number 10. He's not a second striker. For me, he's just a number 9. That's the caveat. Numbers will always paper over performances. That's like what people will say about Saka. For me, Bukayo Saka, performance-wise, hasn't actually had a very good season, but his numbers are very good. So you can't really shoot him down too much. That's what you put in for Alvarez. You couldn't shoot him down too much or criticize him too much back then. It'd be totally unfair when he's putting up numbers. But he still never, ever looked like a midfielder.
Yeah, and I mean, there's clearly something wrong. I don't know whether he's played too much. Like, people says there that he doesn't stop running. You can't get in the team just based off of effort. Like, there are so many players that will give effort, that will run around. Like, if we want someone in the middle of the park that will run around, give energy, press. Bernardo Silva does that, and he's much, much, much more of a technically sound player in midfield to have. Like, it's just... If you look at when Chelsea should have gone 2-0 up, you look at Cole Palmer. Do you remember when Cole Palmer absolutely rinsed Alvarez in midfield?
Yep.
Like, that's another thing as well. He doesn't know where to be half the time because it's not natural to him. And it's affected him as well, because if you look at some of his finishing, we've had gripes with his finishing before when he likes to blast it, right? But now he's starting to drag things wide. And that to me is telling. I don't know whether that comes down to tiredness, lack of confidence because he's been shifted around from position to position. I don't know. Maybe it's everything all in one. But his shooting, like the level of his finishing has decreased. And I'm not surprised. I really am not surprised that this is happening because he's played every single Premier League game. You know, normally we look at Pep and go, he picks a different team every week. You never know who's going to start. Seems like Alvarez is one of the first names on the team sheet. And the argument that people always give goes back to the stats point. They give, he works hard and it's hard to drop him because he's contributed so much. But, it is papering over the cracks. Like, the performances have not been good and they take away from the team. The biggest one for me is the whole Phil Foden thing. This is where the argument becomes intertwined. Phil Foden is being shoved out wide for what I think is an underperforming and out of position Julian Alvarez. Like, that can't happen. That can't happen. That shouldn't happen. It should be Foden in the middle, and if you've got space for Alvarez, why not? You can't go Alvarez in the middle, Foden, we don't have room for you, you're out wide. That shouldn't be the way it is.
Guys, there's nearly 50 people in the building. The goal is always 50 likes. So if you guys would hit the like button if you haven't done so already, it really, really does help more people find the channel. And we're 8 subscribers away from 7K. So subscribe if you're new. Joe, stick the link for the channel memberships in the chat there. If anybody wants to be a channel member like Bevo, it's $3.99 a month, and you're massively helping myself and Joe, just supporting fellow City fans, making content for you guys that we love doing. Look, the thing with Alvarez... I do feel for him. I do feel for him because I don't think he wants to be in there. But Pep is stubborn, isn't he? Pep's a really stubborn manager. When he gets something in his head, he'll continue with it. He'll persist with it. He'll run with it. That's the kind of guy he is. It's one of his greatest attributes, and it can also be his downfall at times, as we've seen plenty of times over the years. If you're going to have a player like Alvarez in the midfield and you're going to run with the narrative that Piplup has there, he doesn't stop running. He always tracks back. I agree with that. I agree. He does. He's a really, really hard-working player. I'm kind of all for Alvarez in midfield. Let's say, I don't know, you're 1-0 up and you're holding on to a game and you don't want any calamities. You want a terrier out in the pitch and you tell him, go into midfield, hound everyone down, press hard, don't worry about chance creation, just press, be a nuisance in midfield. I'm for Alvarez, but if we are trying to break a low block down, trying to disassemble a low block, 11 men behind the ball from Chelsea or 11 men behind the ball from Brentford, Alvarez isn't your guy in that situation. Likewise, Kovacic probably isn't your guy in that situation right now. I know he was good against Tottenham, but we know from a massive body of work that Kovacic's biggest asset isn't breaking down defenses and, you know, being naturally creative. He's a box-to-box hard worker. And then look with Alvarez, I can see the frustration. I can really see the frustration in him. He knows he's not playing well. You can see it. You can see these instinctives. He's shooting from all angles, shooting from all areas when the shot's not really on. He's trying to do something amazing, trying to do something wonderful. And I'll never fault a player for being enthusiastic and trying to score. But it's not the right time. It's coming from the wrong place. It's not calm and composed. It's him doing it because he's desperate to impact the game in a way that he can't do otherwise. He can't be creative. He won't be creative. He won't be the midfield link man. So he's trying to get the goals. And I get that. But it's hard for him. And look, it kind of interlinks with the Haaland conversation. You know, Haaland not getting the kind of chances that you'd expect Haaland to get. I mean, the ones Haaland has missed, look, he probably should have scored a few more than he has. I think we know that. But the kind of chances he's missed over the last 2 games, they're not the usual chances Haaland gets. Haaland doesn't actually get many chances to head the ball at goal. But all of a sudden, the last 2 games, he's had umpteen chances to head the ball at goal. And the majority of which, or all of which, haven't hit the back of the net. There's a knock-on effect from Alvarez in midfield into Haaland's chance, the chance getting Haaland gets. You know, if you have a fully functioning midfield, a fluid, threatening midfield who's cutting open defenses and unlocking defenses, dangerous passes, all that good stuff, Haaland's going to get on the end of more natural strikers' chances. He's going to get on the end of the chances he wants to, which are the balls in behind, the balls to his feet, not so much the balls to his head, because that's not really his thing. So there's an overall effect on the team when Alvarez is in midfield not playing well. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, just that one personnel selection, that one role selection just changes so much, because having him being the central number 10 basically nullifies our central creativity. Like, unless Foden is allowed to move about and go wherever he wants, there's nothing coming from the middle of the pitch. So then we have to look out wide. And then you look out wide and it goes back to Walker's high and wide, Vardiel's high and wide, and we're crossing the ball, not beating the first man. And it just becomes a mess. It becomes a mess. And then even if Foden does decide to come inside and, be a central focal point, it's very congested in there. And then that makes Alvarez struggle even more, because we know his first touch isn't great. And when there's 4 players all in midfield wanting touches of the ball, he ends up losing it, and then that adds to the frustration. So that one personnel selection is actually intertwined with so many different gripes that we have with this team in terms of what we think is not working so well, what we think could be changed. Some of it is genuinely all down to just one thing.
I said this on our review last night that 1 or 2 little tweaks can make the whole thing change and make the whole thing look better. Bernardo in midfield, Foden in midfield. I'd be semi-interested in seeing Alvarez playing on the wing. I'm not saying it's my first choice. I'd be semi-interested in seeing what it looks like. He's obviously always on the set pieces, or at least the corners anyway. So they must believe he has a decent cross on him. So I'd be open to seeing what it looks like on the wing. I mean, Bob in the chat says, who provided the assist for Haaland against Brentford? Alvarez. And it was a great assist. It was a really good pass, but it's not the kind of scenario which I'm talking about. I'd expect Alvarez to be pretty good when there's space in behind. I'd expect Alvarez to be pretty good at picking a pass for a player to run onto. There was loads of space to pass into. Alvarez in midfield, where he struggles, is when we're up against a low block and we need to break them down. We need to find a way, like champions do, to break them down, get 2 or 3 goals, put the game to bed. That's not what Alvarez is going to give you. He's not going to give you that. He wants space. If he's going to play in midfield, you want Alvarez to be doing it up against a high line, because at least he can play balls in behind for someone like Haaland or Foden or Bernardo or whoever. But breaking it down, he's not going to do that. Or else Alvarez, obviously Fox in the box, play him as a number 9. I really like the idea of going back to what we saw last season, rotating Haaland and Alvarez as the out-and-out number 9. There's so many benefits to that. The first benefit is Haaland isn't relied on to play 90 minutes twice, 3 times a week. You can take him off of the hour mark, 70-minute mark like we did last season. You bring Alvarez on to give Haaland respite, and you're putting Alvarez in his natural position. He feels more comfortable. He's going to get goals. He's too good, Alvarez. He is a really, really good striker. You put him in as a striker, he's going to get goals. You don't have to start Haaland. You can start Alvarez and bring Haaland on if needs be. But taking players out of position and putting them into areas they don't really want to be is where I'm kind of like, I'm not sure. I'd like to personally revert back to that, Joe. Just we've 2 number 9s. Let them chop it up.
Yeah, why not? Like, it clearly worked last season because Haaland went through the majority of the season without an injury because we managed him really, really well. And Alvarez had a good season and Haaland had a good season and we were all happy going, we've got 2 really good number 9s. And now we're sat here going, Alvarez, is he good? Is he bad? Is he having a poor form? Is it just him out of position? Like, we're debating on so many things now that Pep's changed it. It's just go back to what worked last season because it like there was no sign that had been figured out that was not going to work anymore. There was no sign of that happening. Now I get that there was a few changes that had to be made with the rest of the system. You look at the John Stones thing, having Akanji to that role. That didn't work too well. Stones was injured. We had to try something else there. But that doesn't affect the top end of the pitch. That doesn't affect that. That doesn't have to affect that anyway. So it's something that I don't think Pep will try because, like you said, he's too stubborn. He will see this through until the wheels fall off the system and he realises that it just cannot work. Like, he will go for it. Like, I believe we will see it against Bournemouth, Luton in the cup as well. Like, this is just what we're going to have to put up with, I think. And I don't know really what it takes for him to not play Alvarez. Again, I'd like to see him not play because I think, for one, he could just do with the break. Like, let's be honest, he could just do with the break because he's played every single league game. He needs just a rest, for one. Yeah, he's played in every single Premier League game. Like, he needs a rest, for one. I think that's a big contributor to some poor performances recently. He's gassed. People say he works hard. He plays like the most intense out of anybody in the squad, and he's played like every single game. He's gassed. Let him rest.
Yeah, I agree. I do think fatigue plays a factor for Alvarez. I mean, Ginger Lime says City doesn't deserve Alvarez. I take it he doesn't like any negativity put on Julian Alvarez. No one's saying Alvarez is a bad footballer. No one's suggesting that. No one's saying Alvarez is too bad for Manchester City. No, we'll talk about Doku Piplup. Don't worry, mate. No one's saying Alvarez is too bad for City or slandering him. It's literally, we're just talking about solutions as to how you can get Alvarez back into form, because you only have to watch the guy to know he's not in form. I think a rest, as Joe said, for a starter. I think giving him a break entirely against Bournemouth, give him the full 90 minutes off. We have the players to do so. I'd give him the full break. I'd start Kovacic, I'd start Nunes, I'd bring De Bruyne back in. We'll talk about De Bruyne if needs be, if we can do. I'd give him a break, and then I'd also consider giving him a chance as number 9, giving him an opportunity to play as number 9 again. And try and re-spark Alvarez, because you only have to watch him on the pitch to know he's playing with a lot of frustration, he's carrying a lot of fatigue, he's a young lad. Young players like Alvarez, 23, 24, they're probably not built to play every single game out of position. It's a lot to ask. It's a lot to ask of a player like Alvarez. I usually agree with you guys, but I wish Doku would get this amount of criticism considering he's been worse than Alvarez. I mean, you take that one, Joe. How do you feel about Doku?
Yeah, he's not playing well either. But for me, he gets a pass. His first season. I always give at least a season for a player to acclimatise, get used to the squad, the way that we do things. Doku's come into a team that plays to the complete opposite of his strengths. He is the complete opposite player of a Jack Grealish who was integral to our treble-winning team. So he's come into this environment that plays to the things that he's maybe not so good at, which is keeping the ball. And he's coming to a team that doesn't do a lot of the things that he is good at, which is take players on, get to the byline, hit a cross. So there's a lot of learning for him to do. He's very young, and it's his first season. The reason why Alvarez is getting more flack from me is because this is season number 2. He's shown in season number 1 he's capable of doing some of these things that he's not currently doing. And
More
now
expectation.
there's more expectation because it's season number 2. He set the bar in season number 1. Now he's got to, maintain that standard or better it. And he's not. I don't think he is at the moment. I think he's going through a patch. I think at one stage in the early part of the season, you would argue that he'd probably be having a better season, but he didn't keep that up. He hasn't kept that up. But the expectations are higher because this is season number 2. Same thing with Grealish. Grealish's expectations in season 2 were humongous because his season 1, for all accounts, was pretty underwhelming. Like we knew that this was probably going to happen, that he was going to struggle a little bit. But I think most of us would say that he didn't have the greatest of seasons. He didn't. He didn't. But season 2, the expectations were, you've had your season, now go and perform. And he did. He performed. So I give Doku a little bit of grace and a little bit of leeway this season while he learns.
I actually agree with that. Guys, we're 9 likes off our goal of 50, and there's 51 of you in the building. So if 9 of you would hit the like button, we'll have our round of applause, and we'll thank you for getting us to 50 likes. We're 7 subscribers off 7k, and the link is in the chat if you want to become a channel member and just support the community, support the podcast. With Doku, look, like I agree with Joe. Everything, he hit the nail on the head. He's a young player. He's got a lot to learn. You can see he's improving slowly over time. There's things of his game changing, but he's still so raw. His first touch, his decision making. There's things that need to improve. And look, through injuries, Jack Grealish has not been in the team. There's been much more spotlight on Jeremy Doku to essentially pick up where Jack Grealish left off last season, isn't it? Because Jack Grealish, whether you like it or not, and there's not enough G&A for you or not, he's really important to the way Manchester City play football. The ball retention, the speed of play, the reading of the game. Jack Grealish is really important for that. And Doku, who's a totally different player, has been told, you're now playing out in that wing and you need to impact positively. It's hard for him. It's very hard for Doku. So I'm willing to sit and wait. I'm willing to sit and wait with Jeremy Doku. Before we move on to...
There's a lot less frustration as well. Sorry to cut across, but there's a lot less frustration. Because when you compare it to the Alvarez situation, Doku isn't playing every week. With Alvarez, it's almost like a build-up of, this frustration because you're seeing it every game. With Doku, it's sort of, you see it when he plays. There's still things he needs to work on. But it's not like he's in every week. He's sort of in and out of the team. He's still learning. With Alvarez, it seems like he's central to the team at the moment while he's not playing well. So there's a lot more frustration when it gets to that point.
I agree. I think there's a lot more to the Doku situation. I think we have a really top player in our hands in Doku, but... we got him from Stade Rennes, with all due respect, a much lower standard of football, and he only played something like 1,000 minutes last season. So it's not even as if he was playing a huge amount of football at Rennes. We almost got him as he was as close as you get to an academy prospect as you can get. You know what I mean? We brought him in because we see his raw ability, his raw talent, and his ceiling, the potential he could hit. So you just have to allow Pep and the coaching team to do their thing with Doku. Doku hasn't been the same since the injury. Look, like I said, he's young. He's finding his feet. He'll get there. Before we move on to Kevin De Bruyne and his little problem he has, I want to touch on this little report. It's on City Extra, which is why I'm giving it the airtime, but I'm not really a fan of TalkSport. But the report is West Ham are bracing themselves for fresh interest from Man City in Lucas Paqueta, with Pep Guardiola remaining a keen admirer of the midfielder. This gives me joy. This gives me a lot of joy. When we're talking about the midfield not being as creative, not being as fluid, not being as threatening as you would maybe like it, there's not many more threatening and creative and dangerous midfielders in the Premier League this season than Lucas Paqueta, playing for a West Ham team who are currently on the demise. I would be very, very happy with more interest and an attempt at signing Paqueta. Joe, go and rescue him. Go and rescue him from West Ham.
I feel bad because we're giving him Calvin Phillips and it just hasn't worked. So we're about to rob him of one of their best players. It feels wrong, but it would be a great signing. I mean, the only issue I would have is what does that mean for Phil Foden? Is he ever going to play in midfield? Like, that is the only thing I can say that would not put me off, but maybe get me thinking a little bit. Because surely, you know, if we think we need someone in the middle, we haven't even tried Foden doing that yet. So, but I can't lie and say he's not a good player. Like, he is a really, really good player. You can see the difference in West Ham when he's not playing for them. And again, like you said, when we talk about lack of creativity from a central area, he fixes that problem. Like, he gives us that option. And if we're thinking future-proofing the squad a little bit, because you look at, again, like you said, we'll talk about it in Kevin De Bruyne, if we just, it relates into that whole thing of, we don't want him playing 90 minutes 2-3 times a week, given his age, given his injury history, given, you know, the high likelihood that he will get injured again with his hamstring. You know, having someone like a Paqueta where you know, De Bruyne doesn't need to play. Like we saw when he comes out the team against Brentford, we looked hopeless creating anything. You have a Paqueta in there. He eases the burden. You don't have to play De Bruyne every week. You can pick and choose which games he plays. You can like manage his season properly. I don't think we have the luxury of being able to do that at the moment.
It would make life easier for Kevin De Bruyne. As he gets older, Kev, next season probably we're getting there where he can't play every single game. He can't play week in, week out. Paqueta's not a bad alternative to throw in the mix with Foden's and will Bernardo be here next season? I'm not too sure. Another bit of a transfer link once again on City Extra. I think Freddie wrote an article about it. I'm sure plenty of you will be gassed about this one. I haven't read through City Extra today at all, so I'm only getting this news now. Manchester City face battle over signing of €130 million Bundesliga star. Liverpool and Real Madrid interested. The Bundesliga star, I'm sure you can guess, is Florian Wirtz. Florian Wirtz, chat. Let me know. Is he someone that you would like? I can't claim to have watched much of Florian Wirtz. Obviously, Leverkusen absolutely smashing it. In the Bundesliga right now. According to information of Sport Bild, or Bild, however you pronounce it, who are obviously a very credible German outlet, Manchester City, and namely Pep Guardiola, are looking at Bayer Leverkusen's Florian Wirtz as the successor to legendary attacking midfielder Kevin De Bruyne. However, the report also highlights that the Premier League champions will uninspiringly not be alone in their interest in the player, with Liverpool and Real Madrid also wanting to sign the 20-year-old. Piplup likes more than he likes Paqueta. Now, Florian Wirtz, Joe, a really, really hot topic around Europe right now. A big prospect, probably the most exciting thing to come out of Germany in the last 2 years, probably since Erling Haaland, or out of the Bundesliga since Erling Haaland. How do you feel about this one? What do you know about Florian Wirtz?
Not much more than you, mate. I've never seen him kick a football in my life. Like, I don't watch the Bundesliga. I'm going to make it clear. I don't, because the league, to me, is, I mean, it's crazy for one. Like, the high lines and everything, it's absolutely mental. But the whole Bayern Munich dominance has kind of put me off a little bit. I mean, I know that's kind of weird coming from me as a City fan, considering we've won the league in so many years, but I mean, I haven't watched him play. I know he's had an ACL injury, which, you know, sort of put these big career moves on hold a little bit because people were seeing how he'd recover, but he's recovered well. You know, Bayer Leverkusen look like they're going to win the Bundesliga. That's what it looks like. And he is this next up-and-coming German prospect. Eerily gives me shades of Havertz, you know, big price tag from Bayer Leverkusen, but it's a completely different player, so I don't know. I really don't know. The price tag just puts me off a little bit. What did you say? 130 million euros? That's absurd. That's a lot of money. That would that break our transfer record again?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Are we seriously, for as good as he is, or as good as he might be, and as much potential as he might have, is it worth breaking our transfer record again to go and get him? Is it worth enough significantly over someone like, I think Paqueta has a release clause of 80 million pounds, I think that is. So is it significantly better than someone like Paqueta, who you can make the argument that Paqueta, Premier League proven, maybe a bit more versatile, bit older, can come into the squad and maybe contribute more straight away. I don't really know. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and say I'd be like disappointed or angry if we sign Florian Wirtz, but it is like the price tag just kind of makes your eyes pop a little bit. It goes, whoa.
Yeah, I mean, his stats are pretty good, man. He's played 22 games in the Bundesliga this season, scored 5 goals, picked up 9 assists, 4 games in the Europa League with 2 goals and 4 assists. In all comps, 8 goals, 16 assists in 30 games. That's pretty damn good. And he's played as a left winger once, a support striker once, and an attacking mid is where he predominantly plays. So he plays down the middle nowadays 28 times. He'd be probably a bit of an upgrade on Alvarez as an attacking mid right now, wouldn't he?
Yeah, like I would be for it. I question the price, but like in terms of what there is to gain, in terms of like his ceiling is higher than Paqueta's by all accounts. When you read reports and how highly he's regarded, his ceiling is higher. He's a younger player. I do obviously question the whole ACL thing, because once you've done that, it's very likely that happens again as well. So has he got another big injury on the card? Look, I'm sure that these will all be questions that we'll do our scouting and we'll figure out who we want to sign. But it's clear that we want a midfielder, and we want an attacking midfielder, creating midfielder. I've seen Bevo in the chat saying that his vision is closest to young talent there is to Kevin De Bruyne. Like, if that is his his level, what he's regarded as in terms of raw talent is, Kevin De Bruyne in the Bundesliga, then yeah, he'd definitely be on my radar. I can't really add much more because I've never watched him play. I've never watched Leverkusen.
Got Paqueta's stats here as well. Played 27 games in all competitions, 5 goals, 6 assists. He played in far more positions than Wirtz. Seems to be slightly more versatile, but he's obviously valued much lower. Transfermarkt have Wirtz down as €100 million, and Transfermarkt have Paqueta down as €65 million. Now, obviously, these are not, precise. They're not always accurate, but there's obviously a significant gap between the valuations. You guys can decide yourselves as to which one you want. Big up Noah in the chat says, big up this channel, Hugh. Can't wait to see it grow. Joe, we owe a round of applause to the chat for getting us past 50 likes. Big up the chat, man. We're on 53 likes. Big up to each and every single one of you. Make sure you're subscribed if you're new, and if you want to support me and Joey Boy, the link is in the chat right now. To be a channel member for $3.99 a month, you're just help supporting the podcast. You're help supporting me and Joe. You're help keeping the light and heat on in the house. Do you know what I mean? You help putting food on the table, man. You want me to starve? I know I don't look like I starve, do I? Listen, we'll park the transfer stuff for the minute because I just wanted to touch in on it. I just saw them as I was flicking through City Action Twitter. Obviously, of course, Kevin De Bruyne didn't train today. The word was he didn't play against Brentford because he had a bit of a twinge or a niggle on his hamstring. I believe it was his hamstring again. I've said this to you guys many times. The hamstring injuries are just behind ACLs in terms of how complex they are. They're really complex. Just because you recover from a hamstring problem does not mean the hamstring problem is gone. These things can reoccur in different shapes and different sizes. You could tear your hamstring again and be out for 6 months like that randomly. You could just give it a little strain or a little niggle, as this one is, and you could be out for a little while, like De Bruyne is right now. He could be fit for Saturday. Pep just said it was a precautious thing. He had a little niggle, so it was precautious, kept him out of the team. We do hope he's okay. I really want to see Kevin De Bruyne on Saturday, Joe.
Yeah, I think it'd be a big miss because the game on Saturday as it stands would be a lot different to Chelsea and Brentford and Everton. Bournemouth are going to give it a go. Like that's how they've been playing this season. They've been willing to give it a go. Obviously, they've got Solanke on fire, so you'd imagine someone like a Haaland, maybe even an Alvarez. I know we said that we'd like the idea of him having a rest, but if there's going to be space, then maybe that would help someone like him come back into form. But someone like Kevin De Bruyne running into space, picking up pockets of space to play passes into, like, it's tailor-made for him to have a good game. It's not like the be-all and end-all of beating Bournemouth, but I'd sure hope he'd be available. I'm not concerned that he's missed training today. because it's only Wednesday. So that doesn't concern me yet. It's if he doesn't train Thursday and Friday, then it's sort of, right, well, he's probably not going to play against Bournemouth. But I'm not concerned, but I do want to see him play against Bournemouth, because if we're struggling in the centre of the pitch to create things, the biggest name I could put forward to solve that problem is Kevin De Bruyne.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. He needs an MRI ASAP to assess. I'm sure they've done all that. I'm Guardiola. I'm sure they've done all that to see how he is. It's kind of all eyes on tomorrow, really. Tomorrow's Thursday. You'd like him to train. If he's going to feature on Saturday, you'd like him to train tomorrow. The very latest Friday. If he trains Friday, could he play Saturday? Probably. But it's if he's going to feature properly on Saturday, you want him to train tomorrow. So it's very much all eyes on tomorrow. Big up Rex City. We haven't lost a game in 2024. Of course, listen. There's no doom and gloom on this podcast. We're just sharing opinions, really. We're just shooting the shit, as they say, giving our uneducated footballing opinions, and letting you guys have yours too. We like to see what you guys have to say. So all is not lost, man. We're a point behind Liverpool. Did you watch Liverpool tonight, Joe? I thought Luton were going to get something off them at one point when Ogbede scored, and they didn't look too threatening, but came out in the second half and did their thing. Did you see any of that? How do you feel about Liverpool?
I didn't watch it because it wasn't actually live broadcasted in this country, just like the game last night. So I watched Arsenal Porto instead, which, to be honest, I'm kind of wishing that I didn't, because that game was boring. But I'm not too surprised that Liverpool came back, to be honest, because even at 1-0 at half time, I was looking at that and going, there's no chance that holds. Luton are going to lead at least one more if they're going to get anything. Like, that is just what I expect of Liverpool. Like, if you're a betting man or a betting woman, betting person, whatever, easiest money of your life putting on Liverpool to win that game at half time. Telling you now, happens every single time. Like, they just flip the switch. That's what, if that was us against Chelsea when we were 1-0 down and we came out the second half and put 4 past them, we're all waxing lyrical about that. We're all going, performance of champions, that's what we do. Mentality and all that. So they're going to push us. They're going to push us. I hate to say it because I don't want it. Because these title races are like, they're killing me off slowly, but they're going to push us. They just have it about them.
Big up Piplup, man, with the first super chat of the evening. Massively appreciate that, Piplup. £2 says, Rico Lewis would be good in midfield. He's creative. Rico Lewis and Oscar Bob are 2 players, Piplup, I'm really, 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 really excited about. Really creative players, really good heads on their shoulders, really mature on the pitch, good decision making. Rico's at a similar stage to Foden a couple of years ago, where it's like, you'll see him play a bit, he'll look decent, and he'll be taken out of the spotlight. It's called great man management from Pep Guardiola. We've seen Rico in midfield, haven't we? Was the Villa game, Joe? Rico played in midfield and he kind of struggled a bit. It was his weight maybe, or he's not physically developed enough yet for it maybe in the Premier League.
Yeah, he's lightweight. He's a lightweight. He's only small, which there's nothing he can do about that. If he was built like Rodri, it would be like generational talent, because the things he can actually do with the ball and how mature he is for his age in terms of his footballing IQ is outstanding. He's just small. He's just too small to play in midfield. When you look at other midfields in the Premier League, he gets bounced about. That's kind of where he's at, where I think that's maybe why he could, I was going to say suit the right back role, the whole inverting thing, but then I remember being at the Huddersfield game in the Cup, and every single goal kick they had, they targeted Rico Lewis because they knew he was small. Like, he's just going to have to learn, or Pep's going to have to learn some way to get around that, whether that's surrounding him with a few bigger players. Rodri's going to be in there. Mateus Nunes, he's a big physical presence. Whether it be something like that, I don't know. But he's a very, very good player. He just needs to bulk up a little bit, and then he might not get bounced around as much.
It's all great development, though, for Rico Lewis. Like, when you're playing Rico Lewis, or when you're selecting him, you're playing him to give him experience. You're not playing him because you're putting pressure on him. You're not trying to put pressure on Rico Lewis and say, you have to go out there and win the game. You believe he can, because he's there for a reason. He's there on merit. He's there because he's good enough. but he's not one of the players you look at and say, you need to go out and change the game. You're playing him because he's just developing all the time. And these experiences for Rico where he is getting shoved around a bit or he is getting, manhandled a bit, it's all great for his development, because then in 2, 3, 4 years' time, when he's starting to work his way into his prime and he's fully developed into his own body, he'll be able to handle it much better, and it won't be a shock to him. It won't knock him off his game. Like, size isn't everything, as we know. Like, we've Phil Foden, Bernardo Silva, David Silva, all these guys, they're all small people, but they're maestros, and they're able to handle the physicality because they're seasoned. They know how to do it. They use their brains in these situations. We're just allowing Rico Lewis to do this, to get used to it, and just get used to the physicality. But I do like your train of thought, Piplup. He'd be good at midfield because he's played there. He's played there in the EDS. I know for a fact that growing up through the EDS, he's predominantly a right back, but he does have a fair bit of experience, Rico Lewis, playing in the midfield at underage. So, midfield in a Pep Guardiola system, to him, in terms of understanding the system, it wouldn't be alien to him. He's well able to handle it. It's just the physicality of the Premier League. Big up Noah for becoming a HMTV channel member. My guy Noah. Appreciate that, man. You got a nice little badge beside your name. It'll change colours. Each month you'll get a different colour. You've got access now to a load of the cool emojis Joe made. For those of you who aren't members, you'll be able to see the emojis, but they're locked if you become a channel member. No, we're going to make you a moderator. If anybody wants to be a moderator on the channel, if you're here a lot and you want to be a moderator and just run the chat for us, become a channel member, and Joe will make you a moderator as a token of appreciation from myself and Joe for becoming channel members. It's $3.99 a month, and we massively, massively appreciate Noah, Bevo, and everybody who becomes a member, who sends super chats, who helps us out. We never ask for donations, we never ask for money, but whenever you do send it in any way, it really does help, and it means the world to us. It makes us feel like we're doing something right, and we love chatting to you guys. And having you there's the emojis, Bevo 115, Pep, Champions League, Premier League. They're pretty cool. Big up Noah for becoming a channel member, man. Massively appreciate you. He says, up the lads from Australia. Wow, Australia, man. We're being watched in Australia right now, Joe. We're global now. We're kind of gone clear. Big up Noah. What did you think of Akanji playing left back? He got man of the match in the Etihad the other night, didn't he, Akanji? I thought he was decent. I think Akanji, he's a very versatile player. He's a very good footballer. He's a very good defender. But as I've said to you guys so many times, that John Stones role, we don't have another name for it because it was kind of made for John Stones when Pep founded this role. It's such a dynamic, complex role, and that's probably the only one out of the defensive line that I'm not sure about for Akanji. In terms of playing left back, in terms of playing right back, he's done good jobs at both. Centre half, he's done good jobs there. But that stepping into midfield, not sure. Left back Akanji, I'm confident. I have no issue with Akanji playing left back, Joe.
Until he gets to the edge of the penalty area and he decides to shoot from 30 yards, and then it kind of it rocks the boat a little bit. You know what? I've thought this for a long time as well. I think that Akanji's best position, for me, his best position is left or right back. Like when he's in a wider, when we have this whole back three thing, he's very good in the wider two centre half roles because he's quick, he's strong, and that suits him. Being a wider centre-half to deal with any wingers on the counter-attack. I think that is what he is best at when he's played at left-back or right-back on paper, and when you have this whole John Stones moving up or whoever it may be, and he's the wider centre-half. I think that's his best role, which is why I think he works even as a right-footed centre-half playing at left-back. That's why I think it works, because when he does the three, he's the left of a three. And again, I think the combination of what he's good at, because he's strong and he's quick, he could deal with it really well, and that's why when he lines up, when we do the three, if he lines up in the middle, I think he's maybe a little bit wasted there because you look at other players around him. You might have Kyle Walker on the right, and we've had Diaz on the left at times. Diaz is not very good. He's the opposite. Ruben Diaz is not very good at the wide centre half roles because he's not very quick, and he's been done a couple of times when he's tried to get too close to someone in the wide areas. But Akanji for me is the opposite. I think he's really, really good in those wider areas, and I can stomach him doing the John Stones role if we have a proper midfield. I can't take it if there's Alvarez in there because that quadrant, that four of Akanji, Rodri, Alvarez, and someone else just doesn't work. But if it's just like Akanji in there and he's having to deputise and it's like a needs must sort of situation, like I can get away with it. Like I can understand it.
I like it, man. He had some good games in the Champions League last season on either side as a full-back. So, look, I'm a fan of Akanji. I am. I'm not a fan of him stepping into midfield. The midfield, I'm very, very protective of. I'm very, very, how would I say, protective, whatever word. I'm very cautious of the midfield because playing in midfield for Manchester City, as we've seen over the years, it's such a complex thing. It's such an important thing. But everything else around it, you know, players like Akanji, players like Bernardo, players like whoever, I think they're all well capable of doing multiple jobs. Hugh, please watch some more academy games. Lots of exciting players. Luca Fletcher, Nico O'Reilly. I like Nico O'Reilly. Piplup. Simpson. I don't know how to pronounce that. Jacob Wright, etc. Piplup, I've told you, mate. You are our designated scout here. You are the HMTV designated academy team scout. Unfortunately, I don't have the time these days. I'm between work, between everything. I'm busy, so I used to watch a lot more of them. But you are our designated scout for the academy. Your role here on the channel is to keep bringing me reports about the academy players. I have seen Nico O'Reilly. I saw him score a scorpion kick, and I've seen compilations of him. He looks like a serious prospect. But yeah, Piplup, your job as always is to keep on top of the academy players and let me know how they're getting on. I want to touch in on something we've never touched on before. Sir Jim Ratcliffe has been speaking today, Joe. I don't know what it is with new owners and chairmans and all this kind of thing who come to the Premier League of recent year, Todd Bowley's particularly, and they come in with a lot of chest and they come in saying a lot of things and promising the sun, moon and stars to their fan base. It's what he's doing. He says, we have a lot to learn from our noisy neighbour and the other neighbour, meaning Man City and Liverpool, so both neighbours. They are the enemy at the end of the day. There is nothing I would like better than to knock both of them from their perch. They have sensible organisations, great people within the organisations, a good driven and elite environment that they work in. I'm very respectful of them, but they are still the enemy. We are the three great northern clubs who are very close to one another. They have been in a good place for a while, and there are things we can learn from both of them. Forget all the waffle. I would like to knock them both off their perch. I just wanted to highlight this and say, oh, how the tables have turned. Oh, how the tables have turned. You have the new owner of Manchester United talking about knocking Manchester City off their perch.
Oh, it makes you smile, doesn't it? It makes you giggle.
Not in my lifetime, mate. Not in my... If you told 10-year-old Hugh, when we just won the FA Cup, that the owner of Manchester United, or one of the owners of Manchester United in 2024 would be saying, I would love to knock Man City off their perch, I'd have said to you, stop taking drugs, mate. It's not good for you. That's what they tell us in school. Don't take drugs because you'll end up like Sir Jim Ratcliffe. I just thought it was funny, Joe.
My, how the tables have turned. I mean, it's unreal, isn't it, to hear big old Man United's owner saying, God, I wish we could be like them over the road. I want to knock them off their perch. They're better than us. Wow. I mean, I think it's clear as day, isn't it? But I mean, this is just, to me, this is, you know, era's come to an end 2.0. Like, this is a quote that's going to get bashed about. Like, say the next time United beat us, right? God hope that never happens. But the next time they beat us, we used to get, when they beat us at Old Trafford last year, it was era's come to an end. If the next time they beat us, it's going to be, I want to knock them off the perch. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Like, they are so shameless about it. You know it's going to happen. And it's, oh, God, it's so weird. But, like, I don't know, power to him, I suppose. He can try. It's an absolute mess over there. He's got one hell of a job to do if he wants to get to our level, but yeah, go for it, mate.
We are the three great northern clubs. You've not been very great for a long time now. Bevo makes a good point. So does that mean oil money is okay now? Well, this is what I'm saying, man. Bevo, when we got our owners and we started to pick up some momentum, started to flex our muscles and lift a few trophies above our heads, everybody hated us. Oil money was a bad thing. No one wanted oil money. Everyone thought we were the bane of the Premier League. And now they all want to be us. If you can't hate them, if you can't beat them, join them. You couldn't beat us, so now you want to join us. You all want the oil money. You all want to be like Manchester City. You all want our executives. You all want our board members. You all want our scraps from our academies. Jadon Sancho's, Cole Palmer's, Brahim Diaz's. You all want them. You all want the players that we don't get. You all want everything we have. You all want to be Manchester City. And anybody who comes in spamming 115 and asterisks and, cheaters, I invite you to become a Manchester City fan and shed some light on your sad little life. Because I'm having a great time. I have my season ticket. I go a lot, home and away. I see the best football in the world. I see the best manager in the world. I see trophy after trophy. I couldn't be happier. And you and your little keyboard, where you're never done smashing the numbers 1 and 5, I invite you to just try my lifestyle for a bit. Even just on a trial run. I'll give you a loan contract. See how it feels. See how it feels.
It's unbelievable. It's actually unbelievable. Oil money is now in fashion. You are allowed to like oil money. You're allowed to respect oil money. It's crazy. It's crazy the turnaround, isn't it? That it's all oil money, this 115, that, and it's like, oh please, Daddy Sheikh, come buy us, please. We need money. We need oil money.
You see, even what Piplup says, did you see that Wayne Rooney wants to be Pep's assistant? You have one of the greatest United legends of all time saying he'd walk to the Etihad to be Pep's assistant manager. Mate, if I was a United fan and I saw that quote and I saw the interview, even if he's just saying it like laughingly, I'd be fuming. I'd be fuming. Imagine I don't know, who have we had over the years? Imagine we had a Mancini or a Pellegrini, an ex-manager, saying they'd walk to Old Trafford to be Ten Hag's assistant manager. Or Vincent Kompany, excuse me, sorry, that's the best one. If we had Vincent Kompany saying he'd walk to Old Trafford to be Ten Hag's assistant manager. Mate, I'd be...
The statue would be bricked. The statue would be bricked.
I'd be like, what, Vinny, what are you doing? I'd be like, what are you doing, mate? You're ruining everything. You can't be saying that you'd walk to your rival stadium to be their assistant manager. I thought that was wild from Rooney, even if it was just a passing comment. I just thought it was funny anyway. Guys, make sure you hit the like button on the stream. Subscribe if you're new around here. Big up Mohammed with the 199. Do you think we need to win at Anfield to win the title? It feels a bit like that right now, doesn't it, with the momentum Liverpool have? I don't know. I think this is a really tricky one. I don't know how to feel about that game. Some days when I think about it, I feel like we're going to win there. And then some days it scares the shit out of me. How do you feel about that super chat, Joe, that question?
Well, as it stands right now, the league is in our hands, provided we do win at Anfield. Like, we could take control of our own destiny if we win at Anfield, because that would put, like, if we both go perfect, win every single game, which won't happen, by the way, because there's still a lot of football to be played, but say, hypothetical situation, we both go perfect till the end of the season, we will need to win at Anfield. Not draw, we need to win the league. So, do we need to win the league? Do we need to beat them at Anfield?
Right now, yes. Right now, yes.
Right, to guarantee it, yeah. Right now we do. Because if we don't, then we're relying on them slipping up and us not slipping up.
If we go 100% wins from now to the end of the season, including Anfield, we won the league. Otherwise, draw or lose at Anfield, you're relying on other clubs, aren't we, to do us a few favours?
A loss at Anfield is, could be one of the nails in the coffin. I don't think, as it stands right now, we can't afford to lose. A point's not disastrous, but genuinely losing could be it's not going to happen.
I read today that Allison is going to be out for the game against us at Anfield. So you can expect Queevy Kelleher to have the game of his life that day. But look, big up Mohammed for the super chat. It's a tricky one, that Anfield game. As of right now, yes, we do need to go there. But it could be a situation where Liverpool have one or two bad games in the next few weeks, have a draw or two, or maybe even lose a game. And all of a sudden, a draw might be sufficient at Anfield. And all of a sudden, it's a totally different narrative. But for now, yes, we must go to Anfield and win. We must. I really want to. I couldn't get a fucking ticket, man. I couldn't get a ticket. I've been searching high and low. I applied to my usual plug, and just to high demand, Pep and Klopp for the last time. It's going to be absolute. That Anfield atmosphere that day is going to be next level. Pep versus Klopp, the last dance, is going to be, Joe, something else, mate.
I'm really not looking forward to it. Like, they are going to make it as hard as humanly possible to get anything, any sort of momentum in that game. Like, it's going to be crazy. Like, we think it's bad with having not won at Anfield in front of a crowd in 20 odd years. Like, if there was ever a time when we need to do it, it's now. And if there was ever a time where it's going to be like the hardest to do it, it's now. So we've got one hell of a task.
Yeah, we have one hell of a task. I think that's a good note to wrap it up on. We're live for an hour and 20 minutes now. It's been good fun. You guys know that we love these streams. They're my favourite shows to do of the week. This late night chat podcast myself and Joe have. And you guys make it as good as it is. Big up to Mohammed for the super chat, Piplup for the super chat, and big up to Noah again for joining the community and becoming a channel member. The link is in the chat again now. Joe's going to stick it in. If anybody wants to be a channel member and just help support me and Joe, the link is right there in the chat, and you're massively, massively helping me and Joe at a small price of $3.99. You're just help supporting the boys and the podcast, and you get a nice little badge beside your name, and we'll make you a moderator as a token of appreciation. We'll be live again. I've got Big Six tomorrow. I'm at a match Friday. We will definitely be live Saturday night after the Bournemouth game. So we'll be live late night Saturday, late night podcast. So turn on the notification bell and make sure you join us for that. We're hoping for a good performance, a good win. And yeah, big up each and every single one of you. If you're watching on playback, hit the like button, subscribe. I think we're like 6 subscribers off 7K. So it'd be great to hit that between now and Saturday. And we'll have a bit of a party. Good night and God bless, people. Enjoy the rest of your evenings. Wrap her up, Joy Boy.
Listen to your heart, tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart, tell me that you understand, 'cause you are the one for me. If you just believe, 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 believe. Listen to your heart, 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 heart. Listen to your heart, 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 Tell me who you wanna